All right, so get this. We're diving deep into some seriously cool research on using AI to kind of navigate that, ever-growing mountain of scientific papers.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it feels like every time I refresh my feed, there's like 10 more studies.
Crazy, isn't it?
It is. And you sent over some fascinating stuff about a system called OpenScholar.
Right.
And I guess think of this as like a super smart, research assistant powered by AI that can answer like all those really tough scientific questions that we have.
It is pretty wild. Like just the sheer volume of research that gets published every year. It's mind-boggling.
It is.
It's impossible to keep up.
It is. And it's not even just about keeping up. It's about connecting all the dots between like all those studies to figure out what the bigger picture is.
Yeah.
And that's where it's really tricky.
Absolutely. And even those super advanced language models we hear so much about, like GPT-4.
Oh, yeah.
They aren't always so reliable, when it comes to like giving us that really accurate information.
Exactly. And speaking of GPT-4, there was one study that found that it was making up like almost 90% of its citations.
Oh, wow.
When it was asked to cite current research.
So
clearly we need something that's a little more specialized.
For sure.
If we really want AI to help with all this scientific research.
Absolutely. And that's where OpenScholar comes in.
Okay.
It's designed specifically to work with scientific literature.
Gotcha.
Not just general knowledge.
Okay, so walk me through this. How does OpenScholar actually work?
So it's built on 3 key components.
Okay.
A massive data store
Yeah.
of scientific papers, specialized retrievers that pinpoint that relevant info,
Okay.
and powerful LLMs that kind of synthesize it all.
Okay, so let's start with that data store. It's called OpenScholar Data Store, or OSDS for short, right?
Right, that's right. It's got a whopping 45 million open access scientific papers and 237 million passage embeddings.
Okay, so what are those?
Think of the embeddings as like these digital fingerprints for each passage, allowing the system to like quickly compare and find similar information.
Gotcha.
And to our knowledge, it's the largest open-sourced data store for scientific lit out there.
45 million papers. That's insane.
Yeah.
So how does OpenScholar actually find what it's looking for within that massive haystack of data?
That's where those retrievers come in.
Okay.
They're like highly trained librarians who just know exactly where to look for the best stuff based on your question.
Okay, so the retrievers pull up that potential info.
Right.
Then what? What role do the LLMs play?
Okay, so the LLMs take all those retrieved passages and synthesize them into a nice comprehensive answer to your question. Okay.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah. It actually critiques its own work.
What?
And uses that feedback to refine its answer.
Oh.
Think of it like when you're writing an important email.
Yeah.
You reread it a few times. To make sure it's clear. Accurate. Includes everything you want to say. OpenScholar does the same thing.
Interesting.
Adding more info.
Okay.
And improving the accuracy, iteratively.
So OpenScholar is having this like little internal dialogue with itself, asking like, is this the best answer possible? Did I miss anything important?
Yeah, totally.
That's so cool.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
That internal feedback loop is key to OpenScholar's effectiveness.
Yeah.
It ensures that the final answer is as insightful and comprehensive as possible.
That's amazing.
And the researchers actually illustrate this beautifully in Figure 1 of the paper.
Okay, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
They ask OpenScholar.
What are ways to cool the center of mass motion of levitated nanoparticles?
Right, and that figure is like a flow chart. Showing OpenScholar tackling this question like step by step.
Yeah.
It starts with those retrievers. Identifying the relevant papers from the OSDS.
Okay.
Then a large language model creates like an initial draft of the answer.
And then the system basically critiques its own draft.
Exactly.
Looking for any areas where it could be improved.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly. That triggers OpenScholar to go back to that OSDS database.
Yeah.
Grab some more passages. Adding more depth and context to the answer.
Yeah.
Then uses all this to generate a revised, more comprehensive response.
Gotcha.
And it can repeat this whole process multiple times.
Wow.
Refining that answer until it reaches a certain quality threshold.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that really does mimic the way that researchers,
Totally,
constantly refining their ideas as they get more information.
Absolutely.
But speaking of researchers, running those big LLMs can get really expensive.
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
And while models like GPT-4 can be pretty resource intensive, the OpenScholar developers got really clever here.
Oh.
They used this whole pipeline, the retrievers, LLMs, feedback loop, to train a smaller, more efficient LLM with only 8 billion parameters.
Oh, wow.
Specifically for tackling these scientific questions.
So they basically took all the knowledge of that bigger model and distilled it into this leaner, meaner research machine?
Exactly. They created a huge amount of high-quality training data.
Oh, wow.
Using synthetic queries and instructions based on real scientific literature.
Okay.
This allowed the smaller model to learn how to synthesize information and answer those complex questions accurately and efficiently.
Nice.
But at a fraction of the cost.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
But how do we know if this smaller model actually works? How do you measure something like OpenScholar's effectiveness?
It's a great question. And the researchers were one step ahead.
Okay.
They developed ScholarQABench.
Okay.
A benchmark designed to put OpenScholar through its paces.
So it's like a test suite.
Yeah.
Specifically for scientific question answering systems.
Exactly. Oh. It includes a variety of scientific questions, ranging from simple fact-checking to those that require more complex lit reviews.
Gotcha.
It's designed to push these systems to their limits.
Yeah.
And really see what they can do.
I'm on the edge of my seat. How did OpenScholar do?
Okay, so the results are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
OpenScholar, powered by either GPT-4o or their custom 8 billion parameter model, consistently outperformed expert-written answers.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Are you saying that OpenScholar beat out actual humans
at
answering these questions?
That's right. When evaluated by scientists in various fields, OpenScholar using GPT-4o achieved a 70% win rate.
Wow.
Even the smaller, more efficient 8 billion parameter model still had an impressive 51% win rate.
That's wild. And to think that GPT-4o, without that specialized data store and retrieval system, actually struggled.
Yeah.
It really highlights just how important those components are.
It really does.
Yeah.
Even the most powerful LLMs need access to the right info and way to find it.
Yeah.
OpenScholar's success is a testament to that, combining that cutting-edge language processing with targeted information retrieval.
Okay, so we've got OpenScholar acing these benchmarks. But what about real-world feedback? Did actual scientists find it helpful?
That's where the human evaluation study comes in.
Okay.
The researchers asked scientists to compare OpenScholar's answers to those written by human experts.
Okay.
And the results were fascinating.
What stood out to you?
OpenScholar was praised for its thoroughness.
Oh.
It consistently provided really comprehensive coverage of the relevant information, often exceeding the human experts.
Wow.
In the detail.
So it's not just spitting out the right answer. It's providing that in-depth analysis.
Exactly. That's really cool. And this resulted in a high usefulness score.
Okay.
Both versions of OpenScholar were rated as highly useful.
Nice.
80% for GPT-4o. And 72% for that 8 billion parameter model.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
But hold on. We talked about earlier how OpenScholar often gave those longer answers than human experts.
Yeah.
So are we sure it's not just quantity over quality?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the researchers actually addressed that to control for that length. They ran another experiment where they shortened OpenScholar's answers to match the length of the human written ones. Even with that constraint, OpenScholar still did better than the humans.
So it really is about that quality.
It is.
It's not just the amount of information.
Exactly. And here's the kicker.
Okay.
Some experts even said that both OpenScholar's answers and the human ones could be improved.
Really?
By adding more detail.
Interesting.
They felt that 300-word limit was hindering the analysis.
Wow, so comprehensiveness really is key.
It really is.
So we've got an AI that's accurate, comprehensive, well-received.
Yeah.
But we also talked about how running those big LLMs can get expensive. And you said that 8 billion parameter model is more efficient.
Yeah.
But how does it actually compare to the other systems out there?
This is where things get really exciting.
Oh, eh?
OpenScholar manages to do all of this incredible stuff while being much cheaper to run than other systems like PaperQA2.
Oh, wow.
And that's super important because we want this knowledge to be accessible, not stuck behind expensive paywalls.
Exactly.
So it's a total win-win.
It is.
High-quality results at a lower cost.
It sounds like OpenScholar is really pushing the boundaries.
It is.
Of what's possible.
It really does have that potential.
Yeah.
But it's not perfect.
Of course.
The researchers do highlight some limitations in the paper that are important to consider.
Gotcha.
And we can dive into those a bit more in part 2.
Sounds good. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back shortly to explore those limitations of OpenScholar and talk about some of the potential implications of this technology.
Sounds good. Picking up where we left off, let's talk about some of those limitations of OpenScholar that the researchers highlighted.
No system is perfect. What are some of the things they're still working on?
Well, one area they mentioned is the potential for like factual inaccuracies.
Yeah.
Particularly with that smaller, more efficient 8 billion parameter model.
Right. That makes sense because we were talking about how they essentially distilled the knowledge of a much larger model into this smaller one.
Yeah.
So I imagine there's a chance that some of those details might get lost.
For sure.
In translation.
While the smaller model is super efficient and generally accurate, it can struggle sometimes with, more complex reasoning and nuanced language.
So there's a bit of a trade-off, then you gain efficiency.
Yeah.
But you might lose a little accuracy.
Kinda, yeah. But, the researchers are working on this, and they think that with more training and fine-tuning, they can boost the accuracy of that smaller model.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
What about the other component we talked about?
Okay.
That retrieval system.
Right.
Are there any limitations there?
So those specialized retrievers are already pretty good at what they do.
Yeah.
But the researchers admit there's always room for improvement, especially when dealing with, really specific or obscure queries.
So in those cases, is there a chance they might miss some crucial information?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
But the team is exploring ways to make the system more robust.
Okay.
They're looking into more sophisticated algorithms that can assess the relevance of different sources.
Okay.
They're even thinking about using external knowledge sources to kind of broaden that scope of the search.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's where that open source nature really helps, right?
Absolutely. Researchers from around the world can contribute and share their expertise and push the boundaries of scientific information retrieval.
So it's a real community effort.
It is.
To make this system as powerful and reliable as possible.
It really is. And it's not just about addressing those technical limitations.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that OpenScholar keeps evolving in a way that benefits the entire scientific community.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yes.
We talked about how OpenScholar aced that benchmark.
Right.
ScholarQABench.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty impressive feat.
It is.
But I'm curious what kinds of questions were included in that.
So it wasn't just about simple factual recall. ScholarQABench was designed to really test OpenScholar's ability to synthesize information from multiple sources.
Okay.
It included questions that required understanding complex concepts, comparing different theories, even summarizing entire research areas.
That sounds incredibly comprehensive.
Yeah.
And I imagine it covers a pretty wide range of disciplines as well.
You're right, it does.
Okay.
It includes questions from fields like computer science, biomedicine, neuroscience, physics.
So it's a real testament to OpenScholar's versatility.
It is.
To be able to handle all those different topics and styles.
It really is, and the evaluation process itself was super robust, too.
Yeah, you mentioned they use both automatic scoring and human evaluation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The automatic scoring was good for checking things like accuracy and whether the citations were correct.
Right.
But it's the human evaluation that really makes this benchmark special.
Yeah, because humans can really assess things like clarity and helpfulness in ways that algorithms just can't.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about making sure those answers are not only factually correct,
but
also presented in a way that's clear and concise.
It's a much more holistic approach.
It is.
That combines the strengths of both AI and human judgment.
I said it better myself.
This rigorous evaluation is a big part of why those results are so compelling.
It is.
Right. It's one thing to say your system works well.
Yeah.
it's another to back it up with such a robust benchmark.
For sure.
So we've talked about OpenScholar's strengths, its limitations, and how it did against that benchmark.
Right.
This all sounds really promising.
It is.
But as with any new technology like this, I imagine there's some bigger picture considerations too.
Absolutely.
As we move forward.
The development and deployment of